Hi, I'm Brian O'Keefe.
And I'm Judith Leach.
Welcome to Seven Pines Lodge and 3M Scientific Anglers Fly Fishing Made Easy.
Our goal is to give you a solid fly fishing foundation, introducing you to the fundamentals for fly fishing success.
This is our Fly Fishing Made Easy video plan.
We'll start with the basics. A balanced, compatible fly fishing package, matching rod, reel, line, leader, and fly.
We'll show you how to assemble your tackle to create a smooth operating system.
Casting is crucial. You'll see how easy it is to control your line by learning sound, basic casting techniques.
We'll wrap up on the water using our balanced system to catch several species of fish.
Let's get started by picking the equipment that will give you the best chance to be successful.
In fly fishing, your fly line plays a unique role. Spin fishing and bait casting use the weight of the bobber, sinkers, or bait to pull the line off the reel. Fly fishing uses the weight of the fly line to carry the lightweight fly to a spot on the water. Scientific Anglers lines have 4 distinct characteristics: weight, taper, function, and color. We begin our balancing act with line weight. Line weights range from 0 to 15, with 15 being the heaviest. We'll start off with a line range of 5 to 7, which are best suited to panfish, bass, and trout fishing. Fly lines are designed and manufactured with different tapers or profiles. Lines are tapered to make them cast better and deliver your fly properly. By varying the mass of the line in different sections, lines can be made to deliver small flies delicately or deliver large flies long distances. The weight in the front section of the line is especially important. More weight means more power. Less weight, more finesse, and less impact in the placement of the fly on the water. The designations are L, level, DT, double taper, WF, weight forward, and ST for shooting taper. We are going to work with 2 tapers. A double taper for economy and ease of casting, and a weight forward for distance and the ability to use larger flies. Line function offers yet another set of options and letter designations. F indicates a floating line, S means a sinking line, and FS, you got it, is a floating line with a sinking section at the tip or front of the line. This will take the fly down into a fish feeding zone. These lines are also called wet tips. For most kinds of fishing, your number 1 line will be a floating line. We will also use a wet tip for other fishing situations. Finally, the color of your fly line is also a factor. Line color allows you to see your fly line in a variety of casting and fishing conditions.
Now let's add the right leader to the fly line. A leader is a section of tapered monofilament that connects the line to the fly. The leader tapers from the butt or thick end to the tippet or thin end to which you tie your fly. Leader length will range from 7.5 feet to 9 feet. 7.5-foot leaders are commonly used to fish for panfish and bass, while 9-foot or longer leaders are most often used to catch trout. Leader sizes are designated by 0x to 8x, with 8x being the smallest diameter tippet section. Determining the tippet fly combination is simple. Today we will be fishing size 12 to 16 flies. To match the tippet to the fly, we use the rule of 3. That is, we divide the hook size by 3 to arrive at the proper tippet size. A number 12 will need a 4x tippet. A number 16 will use a 5x. Because your tippet end will become frayed or shortened from changing flies and use over time, we recommend that you get extra tippet material. You need to have a spool of material the same size as the tippet on your leader, or at least the next size smaller. Different size tippet will allow you to fish different size flies and adjust to condition changes. With all the weight, size, and diameter relationships involved in accurately matching your equipment, we will provide you with a comprehensive reference section at the end of this video.
Okay, now we finish our line setup by introducing the final element, the fly. We'll choose the right size fly to match our line, leader, and type of fish we're going after. The 6 most common fly types are dry flies, wet flies, nymphs, streamers, terrestrials, and bass or panfish bugs or poppers. A dry fly, as the name implies, is meant to remain dry and float on the surface of the water. They are often designed and tied to imitate an insect that has hatched from or landed on the water. It is designed to duplicate the size and likeness of a particular insect as closely as possible. Some dry flies are called attractors and aren't meant to imitate any actual insect, but to attract a fish's attention. A wet fly is meant to sink and appeal to fish feeding at a certain depth. These flies are often fish swimming or drifting below the surface of a river or lake. A nymph is a fly that imitates the immature stage of an aquatic insect that will later hatch and become an adult insect, which we will then imitate with a dry fly. Since fish feed mostly subsurface, nymphs are very important flies. Streamers and bucktails imitate minnows and other bait fish and are fished to look like the real thing. They are often used to lure bigger fish who like bigger food. Terrestrial flies duplicate crickets, beetles, ants, and other land-dwelling creatures that occasionally fall in the water. They are usually fished as dry flies, but they can also be fished beneath the surface. Bass bugs and panfish poppers are made of deer hair, balsa wood, foam, and cork, and are often fitted with legs and eyes to create a lifelike appearance.
Let's add the final two pieces of gear to our balanced outfit, the right rod and reel. Your first fly rod should be 8 to 9 feet long. It should be made of graphite and match the 5, 6, or 7 weight line chosen earlier. The rod designations are found near the rod grip. Choose a rod that has a moderate action, not too stiff, not too limber. These are the easiest to cast and the kind of rod you will want for most kinds of fishing. Fly rods are long and come apart for easier transport. Usually they come in 2, 3, or 4 pieces. More sections make it easier to travel with your rod, but they're usually a little more expensive. As with previous pieces of your system, the fly reel must maintain the balanced approach. You should buy a single action reel that is the right size to hold the fly line and backing you will be using. More on backing coming up. Most reels can be switched to either wind with your right hand or your left hand. It's your choice. You can use either a reel with a simple click drag or a more powerful disc drag if you plan to pursue bigger fish like steelhead salmon or saltwater species. We recommend that you purchase a reel with a spool that has an exposed rim so you can manually add more drag as needed. Extra spools can be purchased with most fly reels. This gives you the option of taking different types of lines, like a wet tip, out into the field. You can purchase your rod, reel, and line separately, or buy one of the many excellent beginner outfits available that have matched components. Scientific Anglers offers several beginners outfits. That completes our equipment rundown. Now let's put it to work.
Now that you have all the right components, let's build your first fly fishing system. First, your reel. Again, set your reel for either a right or left hand wind. Reels come with instructions for right or left setup. After you've set your reel for right or left hand retrieve, slip it under the seating ring and tighten the ring to lock the reel in place. Backing is the first thing we wind on the reel. Backing is 20 or 30 pound test Dacron line. Its primary function is to fill the spool to the point the line begins. That's because fly lines are only 90 feet long. Thread the backing through the stripping guide, the guide closest to the reel, not the hook keeper right above your rod grip. Then thread the backing through the reel frame, winding it around the spool the same way it will wind on. Tie 2 simple overhand or arbor knots to secure the backing, one to the end and a second around the backing. Pull the knots tight, give the backing a tug, pulling it tight to the hub or arbor of the spool. Wind the backing on your spool using your thumb and forefinger to guide it. Make sure to move the backing back and forth to evenly layer it on the spool. To make winding easier, use a pencil through the backing spool placed between your knees or run it through a heavy book. Now let's add the line. Make sure to tie the end tagged this end to reel. Again, we feed the line through the stripping guide. Next, wind the line on the reel. in the same direction it comes off the spool. Again, moving it back and forth, and use the pencil or magazine method to help with the tension. Backing and line combined should fill your reel to within 1/4 inch of the outer rim of the spool.
Now it's time to tie a few knots. In order to help you better visualize the tying process, we're going to use larger material. The first knot we're going to learn to tie is the nail knot. This knot is used to secure the backing to the fly line. Brian, show us how it's done.
All right, check it out. We'll use the blue rope to represent the fly line. This will be our backing. Using a tube is very helpful. Take all of them, put them together, double the backing, start wrapping the end of the backing towards the end of the fly line about 5 or 6 times. Then back through the tube. Remove the tube. Carefully tighten both ends until it comes together. It's a nice clean nail knot.
Nice job. Now it's time for nail knot number 2, tying the leader to the line. Again, winding the thicker butt section of the leader around the tube and line. Feed the excess back through the tube. Removing the tube as before. And alternately pulling the leader, then tightening your knot and trimming the excess. This is what your finished knot should actually look like. As mentioned earlier, your original tippet may over a period of time become shortened, so adding new material requires learning another knot, the surgeon's knot. Take about a 24-inch length of new tippet material and overlap it 6 inches with the original leader. Using the overhand method, bring the combined lengths of tippet and leader through the loop twice, making sure the loops are the same size. Before pulling the ends totally tight, wet the knot to eliminate excess friction, then pull as tight as possible and trim the ends. Now let's tie this knot using the actual material. This is what your completed surgeon's knot should actually look like. Now pull your fly line and leader through the line guides on the rod. Double your line to make this easier. We're almost there. To tie the tippet to the fly, we expand our knot knowledge one more time. The majority of times you tie your fly to the tippet, you will use the improved clinch knot. Thread the tippet through the eye of the hook, then wind it around 6 to 8 times. Bring the tippet back through the first loop you made, then through the second or upper loop. Wet it and pull it tight. Once again, let's tie this knot using the actual material. This is what your improved clinch knot should actually look like.
You know, we've really accomplished a lot.
We have. Let's take a break and take a tour of Seven Pines Lodge, learning about the lodge's history, its fantastic facilities, and why it's a great place to fish. Seven Pines Lodge was the dream of Minneapolis businessman Charles Lewis. Nestled in a magnificent stand of 300-year-old white pines in northwestern Wisconsin, the lodge was built in 1903. The history of Seven Pines is a visual feast at every turn. Calvin Coolidge was a guest in 1924 and had this bedroom named in his honor. Teddy Roosevelt donated this buffalo head from his trophy collection. The 60-acre setting is also home to fantastic fly fishing. Knapp Creek provides plentiful opportunities to catch and release several species of trout. The creek also serves as background ambiance for a gourmet dining experience. Breakfast and lunch are prepared by an in-residence chef during the summer season. Fine wines and cigars are welcome in the lodge's Black Bear cigar cellar. 14 private bedrooms with wonderful antique touches are spread throughout the main lodge, log bungalow, and gatehouse cabin. You are definitely roughing it in style. Seven Pines welcomes groups and corporate clients. Conference facilities for 25, along with all the necessary electronic communications, are available. The lodge is open year-round, with the fishing season running March through October. You can begin your visit on the web at sevenpineslodge.com. Call for information and reservations at 715-653-2323. The address here is 1098 340th Avenue, Frederick, Wisconsin, 54837. This is truly a unique and relaxing setting and a great place to spend some time. And you can catch some fantastic fish. Now we're going to continue helping you to learn to do just that.
All right, we're back at our outdoor classroom here at Seven Pines Lodge. We've got our 9-foot 6-weight fly rod, reel, line, backing, leader all put together. Now we're going to go over a couple very simple casting skills. First of all, the casting stroke, which makes the cast actually happen, is 2 motions, a back and forth casting stroke with a little accelerated pop in the middle. Now we'll do that with the line. Starting out with about 20 feet in a straight line, comfortable stance, a little bit of an angle to the cast so I can watch my back cast. Just use a comfortable grip where your fingers are on the bottom and thumbs on top. Here's the casting stroke, airborne, with the line airborne. Now I'm just going to go lift, pop, stop, and back down. Imagine a big clock right here. The hands of the clock at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Those are the 2 key positions we use in casting. Okay, comfortable stance, comfortable grip. Now we're going to keep the cast airborne, both stop positions, and then the presentation or last cast to the water. Remember, when you're casting to a fish or to the water, you want your leader to turn over, which means the leader and fly roll out past your line. If you're still casting with good loops but not getting that turnover, it's because you're probably casting to the water without that stop position. You want to make a good loop, then stop and drop to the water. So make sure on your last cast to the water you still use your stop position. Stop and then drop. Smooth loops, stop and then drop. And you get turnover, perfect presentation. We've been casting with our loops parallel to the ground, but that's not always a good fishing cast because the front cast is up high and sometimes the fly and leader will fall down in a big pile. If we change the plane of our casting stroke to a high back cast, low in the front and high back cast, makes the delivery of the fly better, especially into the wind. We've been practicing with the fly line underneath the rod hand. In real fishing situations, the fly line is held in the opposite hand. One of the jobs of the line hand is to keep the fly line tied from the first guide to your hand. And it's okay for the line hand to travel a little bit with the casting hand to keep that line tight. Now I'm going to turn and demonstrate the use of your line hand in an upstream cast situation. When you present the fly on the water and it comes back to you in the current, you have to retrieve line. To make this a smooth transition, make your cast, guide the fly line to your rod hand, and retrieve. You want to keep your eye on your fly. You can do this without even looking. And set the hook. It's crucial to pass the fly line to the index finger on every upstream cast. Okay, I'm going to head downstream and show you another useful cast, the roll cast. The roll cast. It's a practical fishing cast when you have trees or a bridge behind you and you can't make an actual back cast. I'm going to show you one in slow motion. Dragging the line back to me with the rod tilted slightly to the side. When the line passes my shoulder, I bring the rod back up to 12 o'clock and then make a sharp casting motion. So here you go. The line slowly drags past my shoulder. I come forward to about 12 o'clock and then initiate the power. And here it is in real time. Coming back, no back cast required to make a nice 25-foot cast. So that wraps up fly casting. Now we're going to check out some fly fishing accessories.
Before we catch some fish, let's talk about extra gear and some simple safety issues. Wader and hip boots will keep you dry and help ward off cold water conditions. Waders allow you to handle deeper water and are now made more comfortable and easier to put on and take off. Hip boots or waders come with rubber cleats, felt soles, or felt with metal studs. If you will be wading where it is slippery, make sure you at least have felt soles. If it is very slippery, you will want metal cleats also. Tackle boxes aren't feasible for fly fishing for obvious reasons. Chest or fanny packs or vests are the ticket to keeping your gear within reach. Fly boxes made of plastic or aluminum are the dominant storage methods. Boxes are designed to carry different types of flies. Make sure your box size fits your vest or pack. Nippers are used to trim the ends of leader material. You can also purchase kits that contain a variety of tools. Forceps or hook release tools can be very helpful for releasing fish quickly, minimizing trauma to the fish. Forceps are also helpful for pinching down barbed hooks. It is good to have some floatant. It ensures that your dry flies stay that way, waterproofing and helping your fly to float. Bugs can be more than a type of fly. Be sure to bring an effective repellent that wards off everything that bites, except the fish. Ultrathon is a good choice. Hat and glasses? Your hat should have a dark underbrim. Glasses with polarized lenses will allow you to see under the surface. Amber lenses usually offer the best visibility. Landing fish with a net is less stressful to the fish and can shorten the time it takes to land them. Make sure the net mesh is small and won't catch or entangle the fish's gills. Well, time to say goodbye to the history and hospitality of Seven Pines Lodge. It was a great place to visit, and we've had a great start on identifying and assembling gear and learning the casting basics using a balanced fly fishing system. Welcome to another fantastic setting. We've moved from Wisconsin to the high desert of Central Oregon to do some more fishing.
Our goal is to show you some fundamental fly fishing techniques on rivers and lakes. This lake has large and smallmouth bass. Let's grab the boats, rig up, and go get one. You know, these pontoon boats are a great fishing tool. They're easy to pack because the frames break down. You can pump up each pontoon in just a couple minutes. The seat's really comfortable for all-day fishing, and you sit up high enough you can really fish well and make good casts.
Yeah, That's true, and you know they're great in a variety of fishing conditions. You can use them in lakes, you can use them in rivers, and I like the fact that you can kick or you can row if you need to.
Yeah, if the wind comes up or you need to travel a long ways, rowing is really easy and fast.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. When you fly fish for bass, you're usually fishing near or around the shoreline. Bass are going to hide around these weeds and big rocks. So we can just ease on down the shore, casting into the weeds and pockets, trying to find a bass who's a real opportunistic feeder. It's eat minnows, frogs, just about anything they can grab. One of the differences between bass fishing and trout fishing in lakes, the bass are going to hide around these weeds or big rocks. Structure. Trout, on the other hand, cruise around looking for food. Bass hide and pounce on their food. Oh, little guy. I'm using a 9-foot, 8-weight fly rod. It's a fairly strong rod because these large bass poppers are heavy and take quite a bit of power to cast, especially if the wind comes up. We're using floating lines and about an 8-foot tapered leader to 10-pound tippet.
Got one.
Oh, there's one now. Good one. Gotta keep them out of those weeds.
Yep.
Strong leader and tippet is a must in bass fishing.
There we go.
We're fishing around these old trees in the water and weed beds. Where you live, you might find more docks or overhanging trees near the water or lily pads. All those provide protection and cover for bass. Missed him. Darn it. We're going to keep moving. Once you've fished an area, 1 or 2 casts, and then try a new spot. These poppers have a little weed guard, so I can fish them right through those surface weeds without getting hung up. The bass find these poppers by the disturbance they make on the surface and by the pop, the audible pop in the water, so they can locate their target and attack it. On the retrieve, I usually give it a couple little pops and let it sit for a second. That bass think about it. The next couple wiggles will entice the strike. Tried for it. There he goes. It's too small, but it's trying hard. All right, this has been popper bug fishing for bass, which also works for bluegill and other warm water species. We're casting to weeds, rocks, and other structure where bass hide. Usually best, however, morning and evening. We've got some nice little bass today, no monsters. And now we're going to head up to a trout lake and show you some techniques that are very effective for trout. Let's go.
There we go.
We're going to start off using a damselfly adult. Damselflies spend most of their life in the lake as a nymph, swimming around in the weeds, and it's great trout food. But this time of year they've swam to shore, hatched out, and you see these damselflies all over the country. On most lakes there's also dragonflies that are a little bit larger, but these flit around near the surface. Trout jump up to grab them, and they also blow in the water off vegetation near the lake.
They're rising everywhere.
When you come to a new lake, I want to start looking around for the food which the trout are feeding on. Here, there's a lot of damselflies. We put on a damsel dry fly and caught one right off the bat. If you don't see a lot of food on the water, then you have to start searching. Fish are obviously feeding subsurface, and at what depth? Well, in fly fishing, in lakes, it's very important to have different sink rates of lines. They come in floating, intermediate, type 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 being the fastest sinking. So most times I'd start on a lake with a slow sinking line, work along the shoreline around weed beds or drop-offs, good places for fish to cruise and look for food. If that doesn't work, I'll add a heavier sinking line, fish out a little deeper until I find the zone that the fish are feeding in. Once you're in that zone, you'll catch fish after fish until they either move inshore or out deeper. So it's a matter of adjusting to where the fish are feeding at the time you're there. There he is, right there, big fish. Oh, he's coming right at me, jumping like crazy. Oh, look out. I had to strip in like crazy when he was coming at me, but now he'll probably go away and take line out. I'll just feed him line easily, very gently. Oh, nice one. He's coming at me. You just follow your kick with your fins to move the boat the same direction that the fish is fighting, so he doesn't get around behind you. Lake fishing, it's nice to have a rod that has a fairly flexible tip and it can absorb the shock of those runs and jolts. Keep the leader from breaking. A little power down the bottom of the rod so I can lift, get him out of trouble down there in the weeds. There we are, come here. Oh, another trout that filled up the net. Look at him run. Now you were kicking with that slow sinking clear line, is that correct?
That's right.
And a little mayfly nymph. Keep him up out of those weeds.
Yeah, he's shaking his head.
Oh yeah. When fighting a fish, it's real important to use that tip as the shock absorber, and keeping it up helps dampen the stress on the leaders. The time of year that you fish reservoirs and lakes is very important. In the spring, lakes are full and the water's cold and fish are dispersed all over. So at that time of year you fish with sinking lines and you cover the water with woolly buggers and leeches, things that you can search with around these bays and points and shallow spots where the water might be warming up. In the summertime, there'll be more weed growth, more insect activity. You'll see fish rising, and you can imitate those insects with a subsurface nymph or the dry fly. Later in the summer, as lakes drop and water temperatures rise, you'll need to find cold pockets where inlet streams or springs or deep channels keep the water cold. That's where the fish will be concentrated, and that's where you have the best luck. Casting from a pontoon boat might be a little bit harder than casting from the shore or while wading. You're pretty low to the water. It's important to keep a high back cast so you can shoot line on your front cast. Another technique that's very effective is to get your line out where you think you're at about the right depth, either near the surface or down a little deeper, and then just kick back. And so the kick and twitch, and keep your fly in the water all the time fishing. It's very effective to search new water to find fish. Feels like a pretty good fish. I'm going to get him on the reel here in a second. He's going to take out a bunch of line. Well, it's a nice fish. Just sipped in that damsel dry right off the top. Jeez. This is great. Part of fly fishing like this is seeing a fish rise, seeing which way he was heading, and then casting 5 or 6 feet in front and just see him come up and take it. Boy, that's a beauty. Nice trout on a dry fly. Piece of cake. Look at that. When he gets ready, he'll just take off. There he goes. Wonderful. The lakes were great. Now we're going to show you a few techniques for fly fishing rivers. When you come up onto a river like this and you want to find out where the fish are hiding or feeding, I like to think of the three combinations: good current, cover, protection, and a food supply. Here, these trees would have the food supply. Caddis and salmon flies come off these trees. There's current, a good place for fish to hold. Also over here where these currents come together around this island, all the food washes down and trout collect in places like that because the island blocks the current. They can easily hold there and they can feed with all this food coming down on both sides. Right out in here is a big fish rising.
Okay.
Good. That might get him. Maybe another 2 feet. There he is. Got him. Nice. Nice. Let him run.
Yep.
Look at him go. That's great.
Oh, that's a jumper. Okay.
Yeah, just let him fight himself until he's a little more tired. Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
You can slide him in right down to me.
There we go.
Beautiful.
All right. Oh, it's a nice one.
Yeah.
Beautiful colors. Got it?
Yeah, I think I do. Comes out real easy. Oops. There you go.
Oh!
Yeah, nice job.
All right. When you're casting across the current, you need to have some extra line ready to shake slack downstream. Keep the fly floating naturally and wait for that strike.
There he is.
There we go.
It's a nice one. Got him on the reel.
All right.
Okay, I think he's about ready.
All right. Oops.
Almost ready.
Bring him back.
There you go.
All right. Oh, it's a big one. There we go.
Great. I'll support him if you want to get the fly.
All right.
Beautiful.
There you go.
Take a breath and away he goes. Super.
All right.
That's cool. Here's a nice general purpose fly assortment for river fishing. In the upper left-hand corner we have some high floating dry flies that imitate salmon flies, stone flies, and caddis. In the middle we have some parachute mayfly patterns. The high vis in particular are nice in low light conditions. These beadhead nymphs are used to imitate mayflies subsurface. Over here we have some of the giant salmon flies along with a parachute rubber-legged hopper, beadhead stonefly nymphs, which work very good here, and these caddis patterns fish subsurface. All right, there's a big fish down in here a little farther. There you go. Downstream a little bit more. Good. Get him. Good
Got
job.
him.
Nice. Let him go. It's perfect.
Whoa. Can you net him?
Yes, I can. Oh, I missed him. There we go.
There we go. Brian and I have enjoyed the opportunity to share some of the basics of fly fishing and giving you some solid technical and product information.
You probably have a few more questions. Feel free to visit a Scientific Anglers Mastery Series Pro Shop in your area or check out a few books from the library and visit scientificanglers.com for more useful tips and information.
We hope this video has added to your excitement about starting the sport of fly fishing. No matter what you're fishing for or where you're fishing, you're going to have a great time.
Hope we see you on the water. We're going to leave you with some of the things we think make this a truly unique and special sport. Well, we've had a great time making Fly Fishing Made Easy. It's been fun because we're out here fly fishing, and it's something we just love to do. In fact, if you look at it, the world is almost all water, and there's places to fish everywhere, whether it's your own backyard, all the way up to Alaska or around the world. So the opportunities are endless.
I think that's the part of fly fishing I've really enjoyed, is being able to get outside, the nature side of things, and the variety of places that you can go.
Yeah, it wasn't just the fly fishing itself, which was the main reason we went to a lot of fun places like in Alaska or Florida, but the bird life and seeing grizzly bears up close, or the manatees in Florida, and really you get to see the world, and it's sort of an excuse. You're there to fly fish, but it's fun meeting people and different food and great fishing.
It's fishing, but in some ways fishing is just the beginning. There's so much more that goes along.
Yeah, and fly fishing especially, I think you get more kind of in touch with what's going on in lakes and rivers, the bugs and things like that.
That's true.
And learning the bugs and imitating them with the right fly brings in the whole tackle aspect of fly fishing, which is rods and reels for every different kind of use, and you never really just buy one little piece of equipment and use it the rest of your life. You're always adding and changing and buying more stuff.
And I think another part of fly fishing that has really meant a lot to me is the whole casting aspect of fly fishing. From the very beginning, being taught to cast, and then going through those steps and seeing yourself improve was so rewarding.
Yeah, you have better success. Like all sports, the more you do, the better you get.
That's true.
Yeah. Another thing that makes fly fishing a lot of fun is all the new advances in all the tackle and gear.
I love my waders. I mean, they've come so far. They're comfortable, easy to get in and out of. Wading shoes, they're just so much safer. It just goes on and on.
Everything seems to be better built, lightweight. The raincoats are better. You always are warm, dry, and that just makes fly fishing more fun, more enjoyable for everybody. Well, we hope you guys can take a lot of this information and even try one of your local fly fishing stores, get more information on fishing and tackle and setting it up. Watch this video and hopefully help you open some doors in fly fishing.